The Lord, we went to a recovery meeting down the hill at Pastor John and Michelle's sister and brother-in-law's church. And I was so impacted by this meeting and what their vision was. And I want to read you the vision statement. When we recover loudly with Christ, we contribute to keeping others from dying quietly without Him. Our testimonies. When we recover loudly with Christ, we contribute to keeping others from dying quietly without Him. So many times the enemy comes in and tries to silence our voice, trying to say that our testimonies aren't important, but truly our testimonies touch everybody we come in contact with. Something we have been through is somebody else's lifeline to recovery. And we need to speak forth these testimonies. Somebody's out there dying, drowning, in doubt, in confusion, in addiction, whatever it is that they're struggling with, and we have an answer for them. We have a great answer for them. My testimony is a little bit like Christy's. I was abused when I was a little girl, and it set me into this spiral spin of anxiety and fear. I was afraid of people always. I was afraid to talk to people. I was afraid even to walk across a room in a group of people. I was just so into myself. The fear had just gripped me so bad. I couldn't do anything. So I got into drugs and alcohol, and it gave me a false sense of who I was, a false identity that I took with me for 38 years of my life. And I passed it on to my children. But then Jesus found me. He found me in the depth of my addiction, and He set me free. I got clean and living in a drug house. There was 30, 40 people there, always doing drugs, always drinking. And me and my children were there, and we slept in a little corner. The house was very small. And I had a friend, and his name was Randy Hollenbeck. He's gone home to be with the Lord now. But he came to me and he said, the Lord has told me that I am to minister to you, that I am to bring the gospel to you. He would come into that house every Friday, 30 or 40 drug addicts, and he would sit there and he would minister to us all. He would tell us his stories. He would tell us how he got free from drugs and alcohol, and he was so faithful to do this. And it just set a fire in me, and I wanted to be clean so bad. I wanted to be the mother God wanted me to be for my children. I wanted to draw that line and stop the addiction in my family. I wanted to be different. So it's the only place I had to live. So the drugs and the alcohol would come in, and I would get up and I would run. I would run until I was out of breath and I couldn't breathe anymore. And I would bow over and then try to catch my breath. And when I was catching my breath, Holy Spirit would come over me, and He empowered me to be able to go back into that house and say no. To say no. And eventually He got me a house of my own. But I want to share some scriptures that I found after I fled those lusts, those desires, because I had been high for 10 straight years. My flesh wanted to be high. My flesh wanted to drink. And I didn't know how to get away from it except for to run. And then I came upon these scriptures, and one of them was, run as fast as you can from all the ambitions and lusts of youth and chase after all that is pure. And I was like, oh my gosh, God led me to do all of these things, and I didn't even know His word yet. And then Acts 1:8, but I promise you this, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and you will be seized with power, and you will be my messengers to even the remotest parts of the earth. When I ran from those lusts of the flesh, His power literally came over me and seized me and gave me strength to be able to go back into a drug house and say no. And I was high 10 years. I mean, 10 years is a long time in your flesh. Let me tell you, it's pretty strong after you've been high for 10 years. 10 years straight. I think I was sober maybe once for 90 days when I went to jail. And that was it in the whole 10 years. So those are some of the scriptures the Lord had led me to after He had come upon me and gave me strength to overcome. And then over in Romans 8, I'm going to read this to you because it's just so good. Romans 8, 26, 27, and 28. The Holy Spirit takes hold of us in our human frailty to empower us in our weakness. For example, at times we don't even know how to pray or know the best things to ask for, but the Holy Spirit rises up within us to super intercede on our behalf, pleading to God with emotional sighs too deep for words. Holy Spirit came upon me and He empowered me. He prayed on my behalf to the Father, and that strengthened my inner man. God, the searcher of the heart, knows fully our longings, yet He also understands the desires of the Spirit, because the Holy Spirit passionately pleads before God for us, His holy ones, in perfect harmony with God's plan for our destiny. Holy Spirit knew the desires of my heart. I wanted to be clean. I wanted to be a good example. I wanted to be able to love God without having all this stuff keeping me from Him. And so Holy Spirit empowered me to do that. He empowered me to do that. And my daughter Casey, I'm going to share another testimony. In the midst of all this, before I got sober, Casey was having some mental issues. And she ended up in Ward B. And I didn't know what to do. I was a mess. I was high. I didn't know how to help her. And I'm literally walking up the street and I said, God, I know You're real. I know You're there. I need somebody to help me with my daughter because I'm afraid for her life. And I'm walking up the street and my friend Gary Hastings literally crossed my path. And I said, oh, he has a sister and she's married to a pastor. And I know that God will help me. And so I went and talked to Gary and we went to the phone and we called Trish and Pastor Mike, and they helped. They helped me put Casey in a home that was full of God. And eventually that home was the Dunn's home, who forever changed our life. Pastor John and Michelle and their family forever changed our life. And Casey prayed. She was sober 2 years before I was sober. And she prayed me right out of those addictions. She said she never prayed for anybody as much as she prayed for her mom. And these kids were little. I mean, they were little. They were like 16, 17, 18. And I mean, this whole church is part of my testimony. Part of my testimony, part of my recovery. And Holy Spirit did it all. And I didn't even know. I didn't know how to talk to Him. I just knew He was real. I didn't know how to find God. But Holy Spirit showed me. Sorry, I get so emotional because my whole life is a testimony. I have so many testimonies. So many testimonies. I mean, I could write an entire book on my testimony of the deliverance God has given me. Yeah. So once I got sober, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know anything. My identity was in the drugs and the alcohol. That was who I was. I didn't know anything else. My identity was in the abuse, and when I was a child, I didn't know anything else. So I lived a life full of stress and anxiety, and the anxiety started coming out in a physical form in my body. My body would shake uncontrollably. I would have panic attacks, and I couldn't breathe. I was in the emergency room probably once a week, and what do? They drug you. They give you Ativan. They give you things to calm you down. Well, it is just a temporary fix. It's just temporary. It doesn't do anything. So I was at a church service one time, and there was a word of knowledge. And the word of knowledge was for me. It was the most amazing thing. He told me, the Lord was speaking through this man. He said, things aren't going to get better. You're going to have to learn to trust me and give your anxiety and your fears to me. And all of a sudden, I was standing there. And it was like a bomb. B-A-L-M, not a bomb, but a bomb. It could have been a bomb that just started pouring over me. This hot oil that calmed every nerve in my body. I had never felt such peace. I had never felt such calm in my entire life. I want to read this poem I found, and it's about the healing balm of Gilead. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my work's in vain, but then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. If you cannot preach like Peter, if you cannot pray like Paul, you can tell the love of Jesus and say, He died for all. Amen. So He healed me that day. He healed me, that healing balm. And I've had to learn how to get into His presence, because those anxieties and fears will try to come back. It's a learned thing. So we have to unlearn those things the world has put in us. And it's been a journey, and it hasn't been an easy one. But God is faithful. And He's been with me through the whole journey. And He's still taking me from victory to victory. And my family too. Every one of my family members knows God and loves them. They're not all walking with Him, but they are all saved and love Him. So I want to close with this. It's from Ephesians 6. Be supernaturally infused with strength through your life union. We have to have a life union with the Creator, a life union with His Son. Stand victorious with the force of His explosive power flowing in and through you. You are not defined by your sin. You are defined by the blood of the Lamb who has made you sinless.